Today I would like to invite you to listen to the Dhammapada of the Buddha Shakyamuni. 147 verses from the Buddhist scriptures on the YouTube channel Thien Thai in the USA. Behold this beautiful body, a mass of sores, a heaped-up lump, diseased, much thought of, in which nothing lasts, nothing persists. Thus the Blessed One spoke, drawing attention to the impermanent, fragile, and often deceiving nature of the human body. In the time of the Buddha, many disciples and householders admired youth, beauty, and physical strength, regarding them as sources of happiness and pride. Yet the Buddha, perceiving the inevitability of disease, decay, and death, taught that attachment to the body is a cause of suffering. There was a young monk who had grown up in a prosperous family, praised for his appearance and physical vigor. When he joined the monastic community, he was confronted with the realities of the body, sickness, weakness, aging, and the constant dependency on causes and conditions. Observing the infirmities of others, he reflected on his own body and realized that all forms, however beautiful or strong, are impermanent. The Buddha's teaching encouraged him to investigate the truth deeply, to see that the body, admired and desired by many, is a mass of sores, subject to decay and disease, and that nothing within it persists. The young monk's practice became focused on mindfulness of the body, contemplating its impermanent nature, its vulnerability to pain, and its susceptibility to death. By observing and reflecting, he cultivated detachment from pride in appearance, concern for beauty, and attachment to bodily pleasures. This understanding led him to develop deeper awareness, inner calm, and insight into the true nature of existence. The Buddha's verse reminds all beings that attachment to the body as a source of identity or pleasure is misguided. While the body serves as a vehicle for experience and practice, it is neither permanent nor inherently joyful. Recognizing its impermanent nature allows the practitioner to cultivate wisdom, humility, and compassion, understanding that all beings are subject to suffering, decay, and change. The young monk observed his own impulses, craving for comfort, fear of illness, pride in appearance, and aversion to aging. Each observation became an opportunity to apply mindfulness and restraint. He learned to see the body as a conditioned phenomenon, subject to causes and effects, rather than a permanent self or a source of lasting happiness. Through diligent practice, he developed the understanding that the body is a tool for spiritual cultivation, not a possession to cling to. The Buddha's teaching emphasizes that beauty, strength, and health are fleeting, and that the body, no matter how admired, is a mass of sores and a heaped-up lump of impermanence. By seeing this clearly, the practitioner reduces attachment, diminishes pride, and cultivates a calm mind. Reflection on the body's impermanence also deepens compassion. Understanding that all beings suffer from illness, aging, and death, the practitioner becomes more patient, gentle, and empathetic. This recognition leads to ethical conduct, mindful speech, and compassionate action, transforming insight into tangible benefit for oneself and others. The young monk realized that mindfulness of the body is not morbid or discouraging, but liberating. By observing the body's nature without aversion or attachment, he cultivated equanimity, understanding, and inner freedom. The Buddha's words guide all practitioners to see beyond the outward appearance, to recognize the truth beneath beauty, and to live with awareness of impermanence, Each breath, each sensation, each moment becomes an opportunity for reflection, for cultivating detachment, and for developing insight into the true nature of form. The verse invites all beings to awaken to the fragility and impermanence of the body, to seek stability and joy not in fleeting appearance, but in mindfulness, virtue, and wisdom. By reflecting on the body as a mass of sores and a heaped-up lump, the disciple transforms attachment into clarity, craving into insight, and fear into understanding. In this way, the path to liberation is walked step by step, breath by breath, moment by moment, as the mind becomes clear, the heart gentle, and life aligned with the truth of impermanence. The young monk's practice shows that when one sees the body in its true light, free from illusion, it becomes a source of understanding, a tool for meditation, and a vehicle for cultivating compassion and wisdom rather than a cause of pride or suffering. In this reflection, one comes to perceive the delicate balance of life, the inevitability of decay, and the preciousness of mindful awareness in the present moment. By seeing the impermanent nature of the body, the practitioner also develops humility, recognizing that beauty and strength are conditional, fleeting, and ultimately beyond control. This insight opens the heart to patience, kindness, and ethical living, for all beings share the same vulnerability and transience. The Buddha's teaching thus transforms ordinary awareness of the body into a profound practice of liberation, where each moment of observation, reflection, and mindfulness cultivates wisdom, peace, and compassion. As the disciple contemplates the Buddha's teaching, the mind begins to understand the fragile and transient nature of all conditioned phenomena, beginning with the body. The body, which is often admired, coveted, and identified with, is in truth a composite of elements, subject to change, decay, and dissolution. Skin, flesh, bones, blood, and organs are impermanent, arising from causes and conditions, and destined to return to those causes. The young monk, observing the infirmities of aging monks and lay people alike, realized that no amount of pride or care could prevent disease, weakness, or death. Even the most beautiful, strongest, and seemingly perfect body is a heaped-up mass of sores, diseased, fragile, and impermanent. In witnessing this truth, the mind becomes alert, aware, and humble. The Buddha's verse invites the practitioner to look deeply, not with fear or aversion, but with clarity and understanding. By seeing the body as it truly is, one can let go of attachment to appearance, strength, or transient pleasures, and turn instead toward cultivating qualities that are enduring: virtue, mindfulness, concentration, and insight. The young monk reflected on how much thought and effort people invest in preserving beauty, strength, and comfort. Yet these endeavors cannot overcome the inevitability of change and decay. Houses crumble, clothing wears, food spoils, and the body ages, falls ill, and ultimately dies. The practitioner who understands this becomes free from clinging to the superficial and turns attention toward the cultivation of the mind, which is the source of liberation. In daily practice, he noticed how desire arises when attachment to the body is strong. Pride in appearance leads to comparison, jealousy, and anxiety. Fear of disease or aging fosters aversion and restlessness. When the mind identifies with the body as self, suffering arises inevitably. To counter this, The monk practiced mindfulness of the body, noting sensations as they arose, observing each impulse without judgment, and cultivating detachment through understanding of impermanence. Each breath, each movement, each experience of pleasure or pain became an opportunity for insight. By recognizing the body's true nature, a heaped-up lump, impermanent, diseased, in which nothing persists, he began to cultivate equanimity. Pleasure was no longer clung to, pain no longer resisted with aversion, and the mind found calm in the awareness of reality as it is. The Buddha's teaching further encourages reflection on the universality of this truth. All beings, regardless of status, wealth, or beauty, are subject to decay, illness, and death. Understanding this reality develops compassion, as one recognizes that all are bound by the same impermanent conditions. The practitioner extends this awareness outward, cultivating kindness, patience, and empathy toward others. The young monk observed villagers, elders, and fellow monks, seeing the same impermanence in each. Their struggles, their desires, their suffering mirrored his own. This insight into shared vulnerability led naturally to compassion and ethical conduct. Mindfulness of the body, then, is not merely about personal detachment, but also about developing empathy and understanding for all beings. In practice, the monk would reflect upon the impermanence of flesh and bone, yet not with morbid obsession, but with gentle awareness. He considered how even as beauty fades, strength wanes, and sickness arises, the mind can remain alert, compassionate, and free. The body becomes a vehicle for practice rather than a source of attachment. This perspective allows one to approach life with humility, patience, and a sense of urgency for spiritual cultivation. The recognition that nothing persists motivates the practitioner to practice diligently, to train the mind, to cultivate virtue, and to develop insight. The Buddha's words also illuminate the relationship between body and mind. While the body is fragile, the mind can be trained to remain steady, aware, and unshaken by the vicissitudes of physical existence. Concentration, mindfulness, ethical conduct, and wisdom strengthen the mind, providing stability even as the body decays. By seeing the body as a heaped-up mass, the practitioner avoids attachment, diminishes pride, and reduces fear, using awareness to cultivate inner freedom. Daily life provides countless occasions for practice. Eating, walking, sitting, speaking, interacting with others, and resting all become opportunities to observe impermanence, to cultivate awareness, and to act with mindfulness. Pain, sickness, fatigue, and even beauty are observed without clinging, allowing insight to arise. The young monk learned to balance care for the body with non-attachment, tending to health for the sake of practice while understanding that the body is transient and ultimately cannot bring lasting joy. This balance is a mark of wisdom, allowing one to act with compassion, diligence, and skill without being ensnared by attachment or aversion. Reflection on the body's impermanence also deepens understanding of all conditioned phenomena. If the body is impermanent, so too are emotions, thoughts, relationships, possessions, and worldly status. Recognizing this universal truth strengthens resolve, diminishes craving, and opens the heart to wisdom. The practitioner becomes free from the illusions that sustain suffering, gradually cultivating clarity, compassion, and peace. By repeatedly contemplating the body in this way, the young monk developed insight that extended beyond himself. He saw the impermanence and fragility in all beings, understanding that attachment to form, pleasure, and appearance is the root of suffering. This insight nurtured ethical conduct, patience, and compassionate action, enabling him to benefit others while cultivating his own liberation. The Buddha's verse thus transforms ordinary awareness of the body into a profound tool for liberation, guiding practitioners to release attachment, cultivate insight, and awaken compassion for all beings. Each moment, each breath, each sensation becomes an opportunity for observation, reflection, and mindful cultivation of wisdom, leading gradually to freedom from suffering, clarity of mind, and peace of heart. As the practitioner delves more deeply into this reflection, the understanding of the body's impermanence expands into a profound contemplation of life itself, revealing the subtle causes of suffering and the path to liberation. The Buddha teaches that attachment to the body, to youth, beauty, strength, or health, is a root of sorrow because all these qualities are fleeting. The young monk, observing the fragility of life around him, saw how even the strongest, most admired, or most cared for bodies succumb to sickness, injury, and the inevitability of aging. This insight deepened his understanding of dukkha, the pervasive unsatisfactoriness of conditioned existence. He realized that laughter at beauty or delight in physical pleasure, while natural, cannot provide enduring satisfaction. For the body itself is a mass of sores, a heaped-up lump, diseased and impermanent. Nothing persists. By seeing this clearly, the mind becomes alert, attentive, and free from the illusions that perpetuate suffering. The Buddha's teaching invites the practitioner to observe the body with clarity and calmness, noting its arising and passing, its strengths and vulnerabilities, without aversion or attachment. The young monk's practice transformed daily life into a living meditation. Each moment of discomfort, fatigue, or illness became an opportunity to observe impermanence. Each glance in the mirror, each sensation of heat or cold, pleasure or pain, became a mirror of truth. Through mindfulness, the body ceased to be a source of pride or fear and became a vehicle for awakening. This awareness extended naturally into compassion. Recognizing the universal vulnerability of all beings, the monk's heart expanded with understanding and kindness. Those around him, whether monks, villagers, or elders, were subject to the same impermanence. Seeing their struggles without judgment, the monk cultivated patience, gentle speech, and helpful action. Ethical conduct arose naturally from insight into the body's transience, for harming others would bring only suffering to both parties. This contemplation also strengthened his commitment to virtue, mindfulness, and concentration. Understanding that nothing persists motivates diligent practice. Time is precious, and the body's fragility reminds the practitioner not to waste life in indulgence or distraction. Every action becomes an opportunity to cultivate wisdom, every thought a chance to refine understanding, and every word a reflection of insight. The Buddha's verse also illuminates the connection between body, mind, and liberation. While the body is subject to decay, the mind can be trained to remain steady, clear, and free from attachment. Concentration and mindfulness stabilize awareness, ethical conduct guides action, and insight reveals the truth of impermanence and non-self. Through continuous practice, the disciple experiences a freedom that the body alone cannot provide. The young monk observed that pain, illness, and weakness no longer caused panic or despair. They became reminders of impermanence, tools for mindfulness, and occasions for cultivating patience and compassion. Pleasure, youth, and beauty no longer created attachment, for he understood their transience. In this way, the body became neither a source of pride nor a source of fear, but a teacher, showing the path to clarity and liberation. Reflection on the body's impermanence also fosters humility. One realizes that all beings, regardless of status, wealth, or beauty, share the same vulnerability. Pride diminishes, comparison fades, and the mind becomes open to learning and ethical living. Awareness of the body's fragile nature inspires care, discipline, and a dedication to practice, not for personal gain, but for the cultivation of wisdom, virtue, and compassion. The Buddha's verse thus transforms ordinary observation of the body into a profound meditation on impermanence, suffering, and liberation. Each breath, each sensation, each moment of awareness becomes an opportunity to train the mind, cultivate insight, and awaken the heart. Through repeated reflection, the mind grows steady, the heart compassionate, and life aligned with truth. The practitioner learns to meet illness, aging, and decay with equanimity, to observe the fleeting nature of pleasure with discernment, and to use each moment for the cultivation of inner light. By contemplating the body as a mass of sores, a heaped-up lump, diseased and impermanent, one reduces attachment, cultivates insight, and awakens compassion for all beings who share the same fragility. This insight strengthens ethical conduct, mindful living, and the continuous pursuit of wisdom. Ultimately, the verse guides the practitioner to turn from superficial attachment to deep awareness, from fleeting pleasure to enduring insight, and from self-centered concern to universal compassion. By repeatedly observing and reflecting on the impermanent nature of the body, one cultivates peace, clarity, and liberation. The mind becomes a stable refuge, the heart a source of kindness, and life an expression of understanding and compassion. The fires of attachment, pride, and aversion are gradually subdued, and the practitioner experiences the profound freedom of insight and mindfulness. Each action, each thought, and each moment is aligned with awareness, each breath a reminder of impermanence, and each sensation an opportunity for insight. The Buddha's teaching illuminates the path from attachment to liberation, from suffering to peace, and from illusion to understanding. By cultivating mindfulness of the body, one also cultivates wisdom, compassion, and skillful conduct in every aspect of life. Awareness of impermanence strengthens resolve, deepens insight, and opens the heart to care for all beings. As this teaching reaches its gentle conclusion, the heart rests in the clarity that the body, however admired, is impermanent, fragile, and subject to decay. Laughter, beauty, strength, and pleasure cannot provide lasting joy or freedom, but mindfulness, insight, and ethical living can. By contemplating the body as a mass of sores, a heaped-up lump, diseased and transient, the practitioner cultivates detachment, wisdom, and compassion. Life is lived with clarity. Each moment becomes a practice of awareness, and every action reflects understanding of impermanence. Through this reflection, one develops humility, patience, and ethical conduct, turning ordinary existence into a path of liberation. The Buddha's verse reminds all beings to awaken, to see the truth beneath appearances, and to use every moment to cultivate insight and compassion. Thank you for watching my video. Namo Amitabha. I wish to bring this merit towards all disciples and sentient beings, all of whom will attain Buddhahood. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate your time.